Welcome in, sorcerers. My wife says I'm crazy for wanting to film this video right before we go on a vacation, but here I am, addicted to making content for you all. So what I want to do today is present you with 3 decks. We have number 1, the beginner deck, the fun deck that you bring out for everybody to start to learn playing. Especially if they're coming from Magic, they'll be very familiar with this style of deck, Magician, which allows you to draw 60 cards and has all of your sights inside of it. This is my fun Squeakers deck. So every one of these decks that you'll see is an updated version of a deck that I've presented on the channel before, but these are their fully maximized versions. Next is Interrogator. This is a list that I'm working on that I most recently came out with on the channel, and this is still tweaked from that list even. And this deck is what I've been playing literally for like the past month, and I've been having an incredible amount of fun with this deck. This is an intermediate level deck. It will be competitive in the right scenes, and yeah, we'll talk all about it. And then finally, S tier, we have a competitive Archimago list. If you are wanting to compete at a local Cornerstone event and you don't know what to play, Archimago is here to save the day. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with our very beginner deck, Magician. And deck lists will be in the descriptions below, of course, if you're just wanting to get those deck lists and not listen to my sultry tones. Magician is an avatar that allows us to combine our spellbook and atlas. And what we've done with that is we've created a Squeakers deck. So with Squeakers, we have the ability Deathrite. Reveal your next 5 spells, then summon all pigs of the sounder from among them to this site. It's 1 mana, 1 power, little guy. It's just a beast that lives on the farm. And when a Squeaker dies, you get to play a game of roulette, or just pull the lever on slot machine to see if one of the top 5 cards of your deck is a Pigs of the Sounder, an exceptional beast with 3 power that says Deathrite, reveal your next 5 spells, then summon all grand old boars from among them to this site. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. If you get lucky enough, you could summon multiple Pigs of the Sounder. 1 Squeaker could summon all 3 Pigs of the Sounder in the top 5. Or 1 Pigs of the Sounder could summon both grand old boars that are 5 power, 5 mana minions that are elite beasts, and they have charge if there are any dead Squeakers, which is usually how they get called onto the battlefield. Now, this deck plays around with these guys. They are the centerpiece of the deck. This whole deck is sort of a storybook adventure. Based on these little pigs going out into the wild and seeing the world. So it's similar to like an 80s movie, and it's very cutesy and thematic, and I love it for beginning players. So the creatures that the Squeakers meet, it is a beast-centric deck. The creatures that the Squeakers might meet are such things as the Gnarled Wendigo. We run 3 Gnarled Wendigos, and Gnarled Wendigo says, this costs 2 less to cast for each minion you sacrifice at its summoning location. Now, if you want to be mean, you could summon Squeakers, and that's totally okay to do, because Squeakers just live to die sometimes. There are certainly ways we can trigger their ability without having to send them to the slaughterhouse, but in a pinch, you can just feed them to the Gnarled Wendigo, and early on have a big powerful minion on the board. The other way that we do this is we love to use Feign Death. Trigger an allied minion's Deathrite, it gains stealth, and you draw a spell. All the Squeakers and the Pigs of the Sounder have Deathrite abilities, so we're triggering that Deathrite. They don't even have to die to do it. Then they gain stealth, bonus, then triple bonus, you draw a spell. So you get to spin your roulette wheel or pull your slot machine lever and have your cake and eat it too. Now, another thing that you could sacrifice to the Gnarled Wendigo is the Muddy Pig. The Muddy Pig has death right, you heal 3. We have 2 Muddy Pigs in the deck. Muddy Pigs are just the distant cousins of the Squeakers, and therefore expendable in this grim fairy tale. We have Lugbog Cats. Who doesn't love a good swamp cat with a mysterious gaze? He has menacing might. Can and must be cast to any water site. This is a water earth deck. So Lugbog Cat can often be cast to your opponent's sites. If you're new to the game, you may not realize any water site means their sites too. Very powerful spell, 3 mana, 4 power. Good old Lugbog Cat. Then we have Common Sense. We run 4 Common Senses in the deck. This allows us to search your spellbook for an ordinary card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your spellbook. The one trick I want to point out with Common Sense in a Magician deck in particular is that ordinary card is not ordinary spell. So what you can do is you can search for an ordinary site, and the one you most often search for is Pond. Genesis, this turn, the next beast cast to the site costs 1 less, ignoring its threshold. So this will give you a cost reduction on your beast, and there are 4 of these in the deck. And Magician, because you cannot choose to draw sites, sometimes you have to spend your Common Sense to get your hand full with mana. And so this is a small trick to kind of smooth out the deck's draws. It almost acts as like a pull to hand sort of ramp spell, wood and magic. Then we have Assorted Animals. Of course, we're going to have Assorted Animals. It's an X spell. Search your spell book for different beasts with combined costs of X or less, reveal them, and put them in your hand, shuffle your spell book. So, of course, you could get 1 Squeaker for 1 mana, Pigs of the Sounder for 3. That would be 4 total. That's kind of how Assorted Animals has to work. And you just keep adding those different beasts. They have to be different until you can fill your hand up. This is one of your card advantage engines, so you always want to be able to spend this for at least 2, hopefully 3 different beasts, and there are plenty to choose from, as you'll see. The next source of card advantage, which goes totally buck wild in this deck when it gets down, is Sylvan Splendor. A elite aura for 4. Whenever you cast a beast or fairy to an affected site, draw a spell. Dispel if affected site is successfully attacked. So you just play this to your side of the realm, and then all of a sudden, all of your little beasts, say like your Pigs of the Sounder and your 1 mana Squeakers, they draw you cards. Every time you cast a Squeaker to this site or Pig to this site, then you're just drawing cards every time you do that. So it's a great way to just fill the Magician's hand up very easily. So we run 2 of those. It is an elite spell, so we can only run 2. Now here are some of the fun characters, cast and crew, that the Squeakers will meet on their journey. Train Constrictor is an exceptional beast with crushing embrace. Tap. Train Constrictor may take a step, then it constricts target minion here and carries it disabled. The next time Train Constrictor was untapped, it instead kills that minion if it is still constricted. So Train Constrictor is down. There's a minion here. It could tap to take a step. The next time it would, it sort of like wraps around, smothers that minion, and then as long as the minion is still constricted, the next time around, it will crush it. So very flavorful as far as how beasts go. Then we have the one friendly guy to the Squeakers out in the wild who's having a hallucinogenic experience. We have Sir Yvain. Lance, Genesis, choose an allied beast. Sir Yvain and his beast companion now have +2 power while adjacent to each other. So adjacent, of course, is the sign of the cross. It's here, 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 and here. And then Sir Yvain and the Squeakers can go on a journey. He buffs them, they buff him, and yeah, they just make a great pair. And then one of the mythical beasts that the Squeakers may meet that becomes more powerful if there are dead Squeakers in the graveyard or in the cemetery is the Wolpertinger. An elite beast of tooth and claw and horn has +1 power for each of your dead beasts for 4 mana. It is a little expensive, but sometimes this thing can get very large in this deck. And why not? This is a deck that's all about fun and flavor. Then we have a frisky red squirrel as an option. If you're assorted animals and you have a troublesome artifact on the other side of the battlefield, Genesis, take target nearby artifact that can be carried and hide it beneath this site. Have the squirrel just bury the Ring of Morrigan. Who needs that? We have Salmon of Knowledge, Submerge, Waterbound. Other units at this site may fish, tap, roll a d20 on a 14 plus, banish Salmon of Knowledge, and draw 3 spells. I love this for new players, just being able to have card draw, but tied to this storyline kind of thing where your Squeakers and your little people are just fishing at the pond. In the middle of like a large battle on the front lines is just pretty amazing. We have one singular Autumn Unicorn. It's a very powerful card, but we just run one in the deck because it feels like something that you'd only see one of in a forest. Then we have a giant shark, which just so happens to be a beast as well. Patrols these waters. Submerge, waterbound. Whenever another unit enters or moves between sites in this body of water, giant shark moves to fight it. And it doesn't think about it, it just does it. It does it, I believe, whether or not it is submerged or not, by the way. I think it's just, if you put it on top of the water somehow, it's a flying shark, well, it still attacks like a Sharknado. Sacred Stag, we run 2 of these in the deck because it's very good. 4 mana, 4 power. Ward, Deathrite, you may ward the site. These are sort of the guardian spirits of the Squeakers as they go on their journey. And then we have some wild cards. You're like, but Sean, why are you running the most insane, expensive cards in this beginner deck? Because I didn't have any other place for them. Okay, we have Algor Omphalos, and we're just going to assume the Squeakers come in this grim fairy tale up to an insane monument out in the wilderness somewhere. This is an earth and fire spellcaster. At the end of your turn, this Omphalos draws a spell, which only it can cast. And minions must be summoned here. So this is card advantage for precisely these elements, which is great. And then, very cataclysmic event in the Squeaker storyline, Atlantean Fate. We run so many ordinary sites in this deck. This feels great. It's a unique aura. Affected non-ordinary sites are flooded. They're water sites. They only provide water threshold, and they lose all other abilities. Genesis, submerge all minions and artifacts atop affected sites. In playing this deck, what I found is that it needed more removal. Well, I didn't add a ton, but I did add a couple, and Atlantean Fate was the most dramatic, and the most basic was this sort of more storyline-esque. Cave-in, burrow all minions and artifacts occupying target land site. This feels like something that would happen in a storybook. The Squeakers have to make their way through the cave-in. Now, let's talk about sites, because this is as much of the story as the Squeakers and the other creatures are. We've got the villages where the parties start out at, where the little pigs break through the fence and get on their mission. We've got all 4 of the villages just to have a nice panorama of villages. Then we have the haystacks right outside of town. Then we have the aqueducts that bring water to the town and also fix our mana for us because it's earth and water threshold. Then outside in the forest, as we start to expand outside of the villages that we're used to, pebbled paths. We have the rivers, not both, but spring, autumn, and summer. All 3 of the rivers. I don't have a winter river because I don't have the promo, but yeah. And then those lead us to these deep forest ponds where we get to have a lot of our beasts come into play a lot cheaper than usual. Sorry for the glare, y'all. But ponds are really cool because ponds will allow us to play things, like Lugbog Cats for 2 and ignores water threshold the turn it comes in because of the pond's ability. So if you had like an earth site and a pond, then on second turn you could put down a Lugbog Cat, 4 power minion on turn 2. Not too shabby. And then finally we have some more sort of like curious sites on the outskirts, the outer reaches, of this realm where the Squeakers are hanging out at. We have the Troll Bridge, of course. Seems like a place that the Squeakers might come into, run into. We had these Varmint Warrens, a little safe haven where beasts here can't be targeted by enemies. And then we have the Kingdom of Agartha, a unique site at Creation's Core. Now all minions have burrowing, including your opponent's minions, by the way. But feels like this would be an awe-inspiring moment in a crazy Squeaker adventure. And then finally, Saint Wald, a unique site of accelerated absolution. Death rate abilities here are also Genesis abilities. This is like feign death on a land or a site. It allows the Squeakers to go off the turn they come in and the turn they leave. And so you get full Squeaker value. This deck is a blast to play. People say that, you should aim for winning. I think I win every single time that I play this build. And I hope that you also enjoy it as much as I do. As far as like literal winning percentage, you want to play it against another beginner to intermediate deck. It can certainly hold its own in the beginning versus like intermediate decks, but it's probably going to lose. But it's just fun. I've never not had fun playing this deck, and that is the absolute truth. Next up, let's talk about Interrogator. This deck has also been a blast to play and is far more competitive than the Squeaker build. Interrogator is a great avatar that not everybody understands or reads initially. Basically, tap player, draw a sight. Its ability says whenever an ally strikes an enemy avatar, draw a spell unless they pay 3 life. That's very powerful. You want to have an aggressive style. This is an air fire build. So this is our sideboard, which we'll put to the side. We're going to go ahead and put the sights to the side as well, and we'll go through this. Now, in my build that I put on the channel, one of my highlights was this Spear of Destiny, and I just have to say, Spear of Destiny was an absolute all-star, and Spear of Destiny goes alongside this other crazy card. In case you're new to the deck, new to the channel, goes alongside Gross Poltergeist, which taps to until Gross Poltergeist leaves the realm, gain control of a nearby artifact and animate it. It is an automaton with power equal to its cost and has its own bearer abilities. So in a game versus Nicholas, who plays his witch deck and was on this channel, was a very competitive player, but he was playing an imposter deck at that time. I was able to animate a Spear of Destiny early on. And the Spear of Destiny, he did not have removal for it for a very long time. It literally was just tapping to bury and kill anything that he played, no matter where it was in the realm. So even if he played something submerged, which he had like a couple things that he could, including like Votten Draconis, this will find it. This does not specify like location, above ground, below ground. Doesn't. It just says anywhere. So Spear of Destiny will find you, especially if it's possessed by a demon spirit. The only trick to this whole thing is if you get rid of Gross Poltergeist, well, then it loses its animation. Now, to Nicholas's credit, he's a great player. But what this presented was, I think, something interesting that most veteran TCG players will understand, that when you're presented with a combo or a set of cards that you've never seen before, even great players often have a little bit of confusion or like uncertainty on how to deal with that situation, that in hindsight, they'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I could have done that. That would have been a lot better play. But this kind of stuff catches people off guard. No one plays against this combo because it is a dumb combo. If I was going to a Cornerstone event, I don't know if I would run this because it's clunky and weird, but boy, was it fun. And I think pulling it off in actual games has sealed the deal for me. So another thing that Gross Poltergeist could animate is a rolling boulder that rolls itself across the realm. That seems fun. Anyway, yeah, it's just ridiculous. Rolling boulders, 4 mana units here have tap, give rolling boulder a push. It rolls as far as possible and deals 4 damage to each other unit along its path. I mean, this seems insane. This was a new addition to the deck as brought on by a commenter on one of the videos who said, like, hey, why don't you give the poltergeist something else to possess? And I did. And that seems hilarious as well. So let's go through this a little more quickly since we got another whole deck to get through. We've got 2 lightning bolts in the deck. That was reduced from 3 previously. I don't think we need as much direct damage, and we needed more minions in this deck. So we've got 1 Black Plague as removal. Black Plague removes the weakest. And then we have Great Famine, which is an aura, affects 4 spots, and then it affects the strongest. So you have 2 opposite ends that take out certain types of minions, and you want to be aware of that. You have the rack. This is a unique device. You can cast this into the hands of a minion, and it will be carried because it has a bearer ability, so it can be born, so to speak. When they strike an avatar, the avatar stretches, and then the rack deals an additional damage to them equal. They lose 1 life for each location that they occupy. So this gets pretty wild. So if your Wild Fanatic hits an avatar while it's carrying the rack, all of a sudden it moves in to strike, and then the avatar will split basically like into 2. It becomes a large sized creature, and now it can only move through spaces that would allow it to move. Like it can't be halfway in the void and halfway in a realm. So that's important to note. So we also have Tor's Hammered Trinket. I think it's Tor's Hammer, not Tor Shamar, but I keep saying Tor Shamar. Bearer has +1 power. This comes back to hand at end of turn so that your enemies can't pick it up. We're just going through our relics here. We've got Shrine of the Dragon Lord to give us all of our threshold needs. This deck struggles sometimes if it can't get fire. Some of these, there's a lot of double fire and double air threshold requirements, so this is a good way to make up for that. Genesis, teleport all dragons here. You have a couple dragons. You have 2 Colicky Dragonettes, and it also gives you an extra mana every turn. Key to the City can be useful. In particular, you can cast this into the hands of a minion who needs to cross over troll bridges, thin ices, things like that if you need to ignore sight abilities, but also it provides 1 additional mana to the bearer. So if you want to cast it just to your avatar, that's fine. We have a Philosopher's Stone. Again, we have 2 thresholds that we need to meet in this deck, so you can get discounts on your spells this way. Now our creatures, I've been running Clairvoyant. It's been middling so far, but I've enjoyed it. I don't have any Sturmgeist just yet, so it's kind of like filling the space for that. It doesn't meet the same needs, but it's just a low power. It has ward. It's easy to put out very early. I can play 1 tower and get a Clairvoyant out. And once on your turn, you may banish a dead minion to look at your top spell. So the ability to do that with certain decks, like if you're playing against Death Speaker, for instance, this thing's a monster. I mean, they are going to want to remove this so quickly, and the ward ability prevents them from doing it easily. So, yeah, pretty powerful in that regard. So there's the rest of the Wild Fanatics. I run 4 Wild Fanatics. It's a very fast, hasty little guy. Charge ability that will hit for 2, and then they have to choose, do I want to pay 3 more or let you draw a card? Then we have Quarrelsome Kobolds. We run 3 Quarrelsome Kobolds. At the end of your turn, Quarrelsome Kobolds strike themselves or another adjacent unit. So you can just park yourself right next to an avatar. Like Quarrelsome Kobold could be here and strike an avatar here. And then you could still trigger the your guy's ability. Then we have Hot Wheels. This is a new addition to the deck as well. Again, from a user suggestion, so that's been cool. 4 mana, 2 power, an exceptional undead of Hurtling Hellfire. Genesis rolls forward 2 steps, striking another unit at each location as it enters. What I've found is that actually Interrogator does struggle with sort of these token army builds. So not only Rolling Boulder has been added for that purpose, other than jokes, which are funny too, but Hot Wheels does a great job. I only have 2, unfortunately, at the time, but it does a great job of just like burning right through token armies because it deals damage to everything on the path. So that's pretty awesome. We have Monstrous Lion, just 4 power, 4 mana, charge, but it can't attack sites, and that's okay. You can usually play this to attack their minions, take them out, or hit the avatar for a potential 4 or 7. Warhorse, this is a great card because what it allows you to do is, say I played my Clairvoyant here, what I can do is I can, and we're just like on our second turn, we play like sight. I play my Clairvoyant here on turn 1 because I played a tower, let's say. Turn 2, I play a Warhorse. I pick up the Clairvoyant, I move, and then the Clairvoyant can hop off and move to attack this site. So it kind of lets you just pick up a minion and get an extra bump, like sort of a surprise attack that way. I love Warhorse's just flexibility. So I run 2 of these in the deck. We have Saracen Raiders, a very powerful spell. We run all 3 of these. Exceptional Mortals, exploit the flanks, charge, maybe cast any site without enemies. In Interrogator in particular, there's almost always some avatar that leaves himself vulnerable on the back end. And so, hey, you got sites around you that don't have anything on them. Guess what? Now these guys are coming at you and they're hitting you for 3 or 6. Very powerful. Then we have the Colicky Dragonettes, also great at removing token armies. 1 by 1, they will fire a little projectile for 1 damage. Then we have Grim Reaper. We have not yet lived the dream. I did go against my buddy's Witch list, and I took all the Warhorses out of his deck, because what Grim Reaper says is whenever Grim Reaper kills a minion, banish that minion and all copies, search its owner's cemetery, hand, and spellbook, and banish any copies they shuffle. So whatever this thing kills, it has lethal. It will just remove everything like that from the game. So you want to use it against a minion that you never want to see again. The combo piece with that, of course, is good old Whirling Blades, because then Grim Reaper can basically fly across the realm, 2 spaces, striking everything, and hopefully removing a lot of your opponent's deck. Then finally, we have a couple of Red Cap Poweries. We put these back in the deck. We took them out, we put them in. A charge of Red Cap Poweries haven't attacked by the end of the turn, they die. I don't want the maximum in here. I find them to be a little bit clunky, and their thing that means they have to attack doesn't always, it's sometimes a little tricky to get off. Like sometimes you don't have a good attack, so they'll just sit in your hand doing nothing. But hopefully you're aggressive enough and that you can. And then the top end cards, we have 4 or 3 Dapple Vampires. This is your only life gain in the deck, I believe. Damage dealt by Dapple Vampire strikes heal you. It's a very powerful spell, 4 mana airborne, or 4 power airborne. And we have 3 Skirmishers of Mu. 3 power, ranged. During basic movement, Skirmishers of Mu may perform a ranged strike from any location along their path. Very good. So as we talked about in our video for this deck, on the way to something else, they can shoot anywhere they want to for 3 power, whereas a usual projectile creature has to tap and attack or tap to move. A Skirmishers of Mu can do both. Just firing, because it's on horseback, is the flavor. Sphere of Animosity has been an absolute all-star anytime it comes down, and I probably need to get another copy in the deck, but I only have 1. Avatars here can't leave, heal, or be defended. We have the 3 Whirling Blades, the most that we can run. It's an excellent card in any deck. I'm running 2 Thunderstorms still. This has taken out avatars on Death's Door in this deck. Even though it is a random strike anywhere in these squares, sometimes they just don't have any protectors. So Grapple Shot has been great, but I only have 2 in the deck right now. I've found that I needed more minions and less of these kind of effects. I've had hands where I've pulled too many modifying kind of spells or spells that allow me to enable me to do stuff, but I might not have minions left on the board if I'm playing against a removal heavy build. And if I don't have minions, I can use Infiltrate to steal theirs. And I still love this spell. It's a very fun spell. It's flavorful for something like Interrogator, which is, to me, is like behind enemy lines. Is sort of its thematic backbone. We have Blaze of Glory. An ally fights each enemy near it, which is literally the 9 squares everywhere, and doesn't die until it's done. So this could be incredibly insane to go off. It's a unique spell, one of. This has been fun. This has been useful. If we have like Saracen Raiders or something on the other line, or Wild Fanatics on the back line, an ally destroys a site it occupies and all artifacts there, you're going to be on your opponent's butt a lot. So being able to take down their Omphiloses and rings and cores, this spell is very handy in that regard. I also run 2 Poison Nova. This has become handy if you become overwhelmed early and you're a little on the back foot. Gift of the Serpent is great for all the things that shoot projectiles or deal damage from adjacent squares, like the Quarrelsome Kobolds, things like that, because it gives them lethal. And it replaces itself. It draws a spell. And then finally, we have 2 toolboxes in the deck. The toolboxes, just quickly search up things like Grapple Shot, Lightning Bolt to finish off a Ironclad, Murder of Crows, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions on the surface. You may cast this spell from your cemetery, banishing it afterward. This is good for those token armies that we talked about. Disenchant, destroy all auras and artifacts at target location up to 2 steps away. Does what it says. Boil, destroy all minions occupying target water site. We don't play water, so this seems like a powerful effect. Just a Rock, a way to replace a ring. Zap, another way to deal that final point of damage. Angry Mob kills target adjacent unique or elite minion. Minor Explosion, again, another way to go ahead and remove an Ironclad. It deals 3 points of damage. And Teleport an ally to the surface of target site. This is a get out of jail card for you, is what I found. In one of my games versus a witch player, I was able to teleport out of range. They were in a sphere of animosity. They were trapped in a section of the board, but they have so many burn spells they're pulling off the top, lava flows, all kinds of things that they could have killed me with, and I was on death's door. So I was able to pull out of range of them or their charge minions, and by using this toolbox as an escape mechanism. So that was very helpful for me. And it wound up winning that game for me. Sites-wise, this one, very fun. Darkest Dungeon, unique. Genesis, the next time an ally strikes an avatar this turn, drag both here. Boy, if you can drag yourself a Pathfinder or like an imposter over to your side of the board, have fun with that. That's going to be a lot of fun preventing them from doing what they want to do. This is an amazing site to have underneath an Interrogator, to have them just kind of floating around the realm, just flying whatever void spaces they wish. Spore Spouts is a great card for casting your little low-powered guys. It says Genesis, whenever you cast minions with 2 or less power to any site this turn, anywhere in the realm. Very powerful. Withering Heights, I would like to get another. Once in your turn, you may fly a minion, yours or theirs, atop here to a nearby site. So it just gives you extra movement, which is great in an aggressive deck. Then Fields of Pixis. This has been very powerful in terms of taking out things like Floodplain that water decks depend on to get to just basically ruin your day. So I've played Fields of Pixis to great effect, and I run 2 of those in the deck. Mountain Peaks, just to get those difficult. We have a lot of double thresholds. The Dark Towers, I run 2 of each tower. We want to hit 1 at least to get, every time you hit a unique tower, you get an extra mana bump that first time you play it. So we run the Lones and the Gothics. We run 3 Ruins, which are the dual sites. Sorry for the glare. We run Vast Deserts, Remote Deserts, and Red Deserts, because you never know when dealing 1 damage is really useful versus, again, token armies, stuff like that. Dwarven Forge is a card I would definitely take out. I would replace it probably with another fire site, but probably an active volcano. Right now, it's just making my Spear of Destiny cost less, which is so niche that it doesn't really even matter that much. Plague Pits is if there are 3 or more dead minions, banish all cemeteries. We don't really have ways to pull out of our cemetery, so we don't care. River of Blood reduces healing by half, which is great. Funeral Pyre is another way to remove things from cemeteries. And we have 1 singular active volcano extra. The rest are in this other deck I'm about to show you. So I would probably run more of these and take out things like the Dwarven Forge if I could. So that's the Interrogator list. It's been a surprising blast to play, and it's been a breath of fresh air after playing so much of this most competitive deck that I'm about to show you, which is a very different style. Having something that's very aggressive and puts the opponent on the back foot is so much different than this deck, which has games that are often 45 minutes long, but ultimately this deck is so powerful that it will win you games just because of inevitability, so to speak. So let's talk a bit about old Banana Head himself, Archimago. The Archmage, tap, player draw a site, banish 3 magic spells in your cemetery, cast a copy of one of them. So Archimago, this is an earth fire list. I'm running some interesting cards, as you can probably see, cards that are not current to other lists. So we'll talk about the differences here briefly. I run 2 assorted animals. Often these Archimago lists run 1, but I love my beasts, and I run a beast that is a little different than others. One of the beasts that I run, we'll get to it very quickly just to show you, is none other than I run Warhorse. I love Warhorse so much, I run it in 2 different decks. I do this because it's a great way to finish off a game by surprise. To have charge minions is really valuable, especially if they're on death's door, but also it helps get you out of harm's way. I've had the Archimago ride around when it is on death's door, and just try to evade capture is very helpful in that regard. So I have that, and also I run plenty of cemetery rats. I run 2 cemetery rats. Maybe we'll just go through the assorted animal pile here first. 2 cemetery rats. This fills up your cemetery. Genesis, discard your top 2 spells. Sister Stephania, so powerful. Ward, other nearby minions are silenced. This does a lot of things. It removes basically the whole text box of nearby minions. Warhorse, charge, we just talked about it. Land Surveyors, I'm running these instead of Kettle Tops, and there's reasons why. I've even had it come into play and be much better for me than Kettle Top. For instance, on turn 6, I was able to both landmass and get another land out, which put me up to 7 total mana, then Common Sense for a Land Surveyor to draw another site into hand, knowing that on turn 8, if I drew a site with my Archimago, I'd be able to play Craterize, discarding the site that the Land Surveyor drew for me. I know that might have been convoluted sounding, but there are reasons why drawing that site immediately in Archimago, I am almost certain, is so much better than Kettle Top Leprechaun. And I'm going to die on that hill. Maybe a lot. I don't know, right? Maybe I'm totally wrong. I'm open to that. But I have found that getting the site in hand for this particular deck is so important. There are so many reasons why that you want sites in hand immediately rather than just later and what if. We also run Root Spiders, one of the most incredible beasts of all. Root Spiders burrow underneath sites, and then they will prevent anything from happening above them. Gargantula, if I could run all spiders, I would. Assorted Animals also seeks these. Usually this is the top end beast that seeks. Genesis Gargantula may drag an adjacent minion here, disabling it in a cocoon until a unit at its location taps to free it. So for 4 mana, Gargantula comes down, cocoon something, and then you drag that adjacent cocooned minion over to you and kind of protect it. And you can leave it cocooned as long as Gargantula is in the realm as well. So you can just wander off and just leave it disabled. And then our last 2 top end cards, we have King of the Realm. Other mortals have +1 power, which is great for you in this deck because you run a lot of border militias, which make foot soldiers who are mortals. And you control all mortals, which is very powerful against all sorts of cards in Sorcery that you don't want to play against. And then finally, Death Dealer, which I just traded for. I didn't have one of these for the longest time. It's great to have an additional board wipe, basically. 7 mana, 4 power, Genesis, kill all other minions. He is immortal, by the way, so he will get a buff from King of the Realm if that comes up for some reason. Now, let's go over the meat and potatoes of Archimago, which is not minions, but spells. We have our Onyx Core here to increase our ability to cast Craterize early. We have our Ring of Morrigan, which has been very important in this deck, even though it's super expensive. This is my most competitive deck, so I've kind of run all the cards I need to. We have Tithe, draw 3 sites for 1 mana and 3 Earth Threshold, very powerful. Divine Healing, we run all 3. We go to the late game and we often play with our life as a resource, and often we are low on life. We are trying to stabilize late, and then we just win through having card advantage. We like suffer through all the early aggression and then eventually get to the point where things like Divine Healing have kept us afloat long enough to where we can then just take them over and start beating them with giant spells. Landmass is possible to have really powerful early turn starts with a core. So like if you were to go land, core, and then turn 2, play a land or site here, then landmass because you have 3 mana, all of a sudden you're building out your realm like very fast. You can kind of invade and encapsulate your opponent's territory that way. That is a potential strategy for Archimago. Gift of the Wolf has been great. Makes all of your little border militia tokens a little more powerful. As you'll see, they're going to come up soon. I run 4 of these because we want spells in the yard and they replace themselves. So they draw a spell. And they are a spell. Common Sense. Run 4 of these. These can search up landmass, border militia, gift of the wolf, whatever you want them to. They can also search up some very niche, toolboxy kind of answers. A copy of the spell. We have also a copy of, we have some copies of Berry in the deck. So Common Sense also works as answers for minions and or artifacts and auras. We have 2 silver bullets in the deck, and we will go over the collection in just a second. We run 2 Onslaught in the deck. We don't always want this, but this is a kill spell that will remain in your hand often until the very end of the game. If you draw it early, hopefully you do draw it. You kind of want to have one of these in your hand regardless, but you draw enough cards and play enough spells in this deck that just having one kind of loose card in your hand early, I don't think it hurts you too bad. But we only run 2 for that reason. You don't want to have too many of these in your hand. We run 3 border militia. Some Archimago lists only run 3 and they focus more on some other spells that we do not run. I'm all in on the token plan. To me, border militia onslaught is one of the ways you win the game. You surround the opponent with sites. You go to the late game, so you have tons of sites. So you make like 8 tokens. You give them onslaught. All of a sudden, you're dealing like 16, 20 points of damage all in one turn, taking them from 20 where they thought they were safe to 0, all at once. We have 2 berries as removal. It's important. some of those bigger minions early, Archangel Michael, things like that, you just want to get rid of them as fast as you can. We have one toward Omphalos. I used to run two, but I found that when I was running the Earth Water Omphalos, I would draw fire spells into my hand and I'd be very sad. And Earth Water Omphalos cannot cast fire spells. So I only run the Earth Fire version now. It can cast everything in the deck. Run a Cave In. This allows you to bury all minions and artifacts. Very powerful for things like people that are running cores. 2 Infiltrates. We can recast these on their most powerful minions with Archimago, which makes it incredible. Border Militia again, amplified by Gigantism here. Finally got a copy of this. Give an allied unit +6 power this turn. Turns a 1/1 token into a 7 power beater. And you can't go wrong with that. And then finally, we have some of our major spells. We have 2 Craterize. These are obviously your like top end that you want to go to, but I run 2 guards as well, as because I'm all in on the token plan, and I find that if Archimago even steps 1 step forward in the game, then all of a sudden making 9 tokens all at once is overwhelming for many opponents, and they can't beat it. Then we run as removal. We have 3 Poison Nova, great spell, and being able to cast it 6 times. Again, Archimago is busted and crazy, I know, but that's why you play him in competitive. And Earthquake, also incredible. Rearranging sites allows you to also sort of like change where your cemetery rats are and stuff are, just in case. That's a weird niche thing, but they do have burrowing, so they can survive that kind of thing. And root spiders as well. So you may rearrange sites within a 2x2 area, carrying along everything of normal size, then burrow all minions and artifacts on those sites. So very useful in killing things that are non-burrowing, but your root spiders and cemetery rats will survive an earthquake, which is pretty cool. All right, so let's talk collection. We have silver bullets now instead of toolboxes. I find that because I'm all in on the token plan, I always have a bearer who can tap to use a silver bullet. And what we are using that for is a 3rd onslaught, just in case they've, gotten rid of the other 2 or we haven't drawn them. We have a kill spell. Raise, again, taking care of problematic lands and artifacts. Redmane Hyena, removing graveyards potentially, and also if there are any demons, this becomes 1 and gains +2 power permanently, which is cool. So 4 power minion for 2. Cave In, love having removal on a stick. Leap Attack, this is great for final, like Death's Door, just taking out, because an ally may take a step and then it strikes each enemy at its location. Searing Truth obviously is where we go to often to remove from Death's Door, but if for some reason they cast like a Legion of Gaul, something like that removes things from your collection, and they take the Searing Truth, well, you have other options in here. They'd have to remove all your final kill spells, and maybe they don't think about it and they leave Leap Attack or something, I don't know. But Searing Truth basically deals damage to the opponent when they pull 2 cards off the top. The only way they evade this is if they pull 2 sites and they're playing Magician. So, or they pull 2 0-cost spells, like 2 Assorted Animals. So it doesn't work 100%, but 99% of the time it will take them out from, deal 1 damage to them. Scavenging Fiend, this is to get back your Omphalos or your ring. So if somebody else kind of caves in your stuff, conjure a broken artifact to this location. So you can, or just, puts it to your cemetery, not just buries it. You can get a Scavenging Fiend to go ahead and dig through the rummage pile to get it. Pudge Butcher I have for laughs. He's exceptional. So silver bullets allow us to get exceptional cards. So it's pretty fun to have this guy come out just swinging around his hook. Be Gone. Exceptional Magic, banish an evil minion anywhere in the realm. Very powerful. yeah, this allows us to take out all kinds of things that even things in the void and submerged and all kinds of other things that we might not be able to get to otherwise. And drought affected sites aren't water sites and provide no water threshold. So we have some water hate there. And then finally, let's go over our site package for old Archimago. If you enjoy my content, as I'm off on vacation now, I would appreciate if you like and subscribe. We're close to 800 subscribers right now. Doing great. Really appreciate all y'all. And I know I'm speeding through this, but I hope that you're enjoying the updates to these decks, and I will again post a list on the bottom. So Archimago runs a lot of great sites. One, we want to play for the late game, so we play Mount Usar Sanctuary. When we have 4 Earth Threshold, which this deck always gets, when your avatar arrives at death's door, they flee here and gain ward. It gives you a little extra buffer. And usually you want to play this site somewhere, on the edges of territory away from your opponent's stuff. Pillar of Zyros says banish all dead minions. You heal 1 life for each. This deck does not recur minions, so I don't care about banishing them, and it's usually good to banish your opponents. So healing, also great. This is a controversial card in new Archimago list because Mirage was initially there for cards like Heirloom Lost. However, I still find it to be quite useful. And one reason I find it to be useful is because it can come out, it can pick up a site such as Pillar of Zyros. Now maybe I can pick this up and heal again, or maybe I put this out early and there was very little out to heal where I didn't need to heal yet, and now I can play it again later. There are several sites in the deck that I want to play multiple times. Fields of Camland being one for 3 fire threshold. Genesis, each player chooses 1 of their minions and then the rest are killed. So these are all cards that are great with Mirage. We have, let's see. So I'm just kind of making my case for Mirage. We've got things like Funeral Pyre, which can banish minions out of yards. Yes, it slows you down a little bit on tempo wise when you are, trying to, just ramp as fast as possible because you're like replacing one of your own sites. You're not really gaining the 1 extra mana. However, sometimes you just need the utility. Sometimes even picking up a Rift Valley has been something I've done. Picking up a Rift Valley is very useful in moving your minions around to more advantageous positions, I've found. So if there are incomplete rows or columns in the realm for whatever reason, having a spare Rift Valley in hand can be very useful, and to be like, oh, gotcha, because now you thought the minions were here and now they're not. I've played a Rift Valley and now they're over here and you're vulnerable in this spot, let's say. So these are kind of like the package for what you would want to play multiple times with Mirage, and it produces a fire threshold on its own. So if I just play it as a fire threshold, I'm okay with that. Some utility lands against a lot of aggressive decks in my meta. I play Pebbled Paths. Minions atop nearby sites lose charge. If you can play this, front and center, and all of a sudden you're kind of protected. All nearby minions lose charge, which is pretty sweet. That will affect your Warhorse, though. It's your 1 and only charge minion. Vesuvius, again, is sort of a removal site I'm testing in the deck. Sacrifice it. Each unit occupying nearby sites takes 3 damage. Steps, we run Fertile Earths, or the double threshold sites, and the active volcanoes. We run all 3 of all 3. Funeral Pyres, removal of other Archimagos. Mirror Realm can copy things like Field of Camland or Funeral Pyre or whatever. Imperial Road, I still love. Some people don't run these in their Archimago list, but I find that opponents often run out of sites after 3 or 4, and at that point you can kind of ramp ahead as you're chasing the number 8 is where you're trying to get to in Archimago, so that you can cast Craterize, and you also want 1 extra site in hand, so really you're chasing 9 sites total, and Imperial Road allows you to get there 1 turn faster. If they do not have a site in hand, then you get to ramp, put an additional site down, and they do not. So sinkhole is to keep them under control. So if you're ramping ahead and you're okay losing a little bit of tempo on your side, you can start to sinkhole their lands, especially their ones that are very impactful. Rift Valleys, again, to like change position on the board is very important. Haystack, just removing their common senses from play, basically. Opponents' deck searches are limited to top 3 cards, makes it a lot harder for them to use things like common sense to get what they need. Gnome Hollows is great for Archimago to protect it from big minions. Units with 3 or more power cannot enter this site. So if you play this right underneath the Archimago, he's protected at least from these bigger dudes in the realm. And then this has been an absolute all-star. Boulevard of Bones seems innocuous, but whenever another site is played to an adjacent square, summon a skeleton token there. So with Boulevard of Bones out, sometimes in one game versus Archimago and one of the cornerstones, and the cornerstone I played in, I had 3 Boulevards of Bones out with the Mirror Realm copying one, and it was completely ridiculous. I was just making skeleton tokens all over the place, which eventually led to me winning through an onslaught, having just so many tokens that I was able to overwhelm. So that has been the 3 decks that I would like to recommend to anybody. Different levels, different avatars, different play patterns. Like one's a storybook fantasy, one's a crazy person who interrogates people and beats them in a chair, and the other's a banana wizard who lives in space and only concerns himself with casting spells and plays a much more long sort of defensive game, not really worried about what the opponent's doing, and if they ever try to cross the board, he just like buries their stuff or poison novas or whatever. So I hope you've enjoyed this long video, and if you have, like and subscribe, and then I'll see you next time as we do a box opening, the final of my friend Matt's, as he opens another box of beta. Appreciate you very much, and keep contesting the realm.